Hi, Rob from Akai Professional here at Gear4music, and today we're looking at the brand new update for Force 3.03. Let's have a look. .03 brings a host of new features, including Ableton Live Export, step and grid automation, as well as a host of extra workflow enhancements. So the first thing to look at is the Ableton Live Export. This is a feature that has been wanted since the product was released, and it essentially will allow you to export your entire Force project directly into Ableton as an ALS file. To do this, it couldn't be easier. Simply press Save, and at the bottom you see an Ableton Live set icon. Here you get a few different options. You can export the entire project as audio, which means you can keep all the sounds from the built-in synths such as Hype, or you can move it to MIDI, which means any of the MIDI data created on Force can be used with your favorite VSTs and AUs. There's a few different features here, including the bounce preferences, such as including the track volume and pan setting, bypass track effects, plus the audio tail, bit depth and sample rate, which can all be configured to your preference. When you're ready, press Export, and you can then choose the save destination, be it the SD, SSD or external memory, and then you can take that, plug it into your computer and open the file directly from the memory stick. If you're not an Ableton user, simply press Save and you can choose all clips. And this will do exactly the same process, but instead of rendering it as an ALS file, it will be a standard audio file format as WAV or a MIDI file, which then can be accessed from any computer, be it Mac or PC, and open inside your favorite DAW of choice. The next feature to look at is the ability to step and grid automate effects, plugins, MIDI, CV, and audio. It's extremely easy to automate a clip. To do that, you just go into the clip you wish to automate. So let's press clip. You can see here I've got a bass part. Simply go to the velocity bar and tap on velocity. And now if I select the data dial, it will show you the parameters I can automate. I can add some new, but I've actually got the cutoff already on here. And you can see I've already drawn in my automation. But if I go to grid and grab the eraser, I can get rid of it, or I can actually draw in a brand new curve. And when I'm ready, I can play that back, and that will automate the cutoff of that plugin. This can also be done via the step sequencer. Simply press Menu, Step Sequencer, select the velocity, and then choose the parameter you've automated. You can see here that I've got my cutoff automation. I can do two things in this window. I can either select a preset, or I can increase or decrease the values of the automation. I can also use my encoders, if I go to screen mode, to step in or increase the value of each automation post. This is extremely interesting for people using MIDI or CV equipment, particularly modular, so you can use this as a sequencer. If you're using effects, it's the same process. Simply go to my mixer, choose my channel, add an effect, go back to the clip, choose velocity, add new, and you can see here at the bottom I've got my insert. Press and choose the parameter, and the same process applies. Draw in the automation and go from there. Another enhancement is that when the Force is connected to a computer in standalone mode, by pressing Menu and pressing the icon at the top, you can now use this as an audio interface, which means you have two inputs, four outputs, taking advantage of the 48-volt capable inputs on Force and the two separate outputs on the back. There's also been updates to the way that the matrix screen works. This is extremely good for creating and editing clips. To do that, simply hold your finger on the clip. You can see here, there's a couple of different options: copy, delete, edit clip, edit event, and settings. I can also hold on an empty space and create a clip straight from there, making it much quicker to operate in the matrix window. Another really interesting update is the key group has had an update in regards to how you sample into it. To do it beforehand, you select the sample and go into a key group and create it that way, but now we've streamlined the process. Simply press Shift, Edit, and the sound on the drum rack, and that will populate a key group directly from that sound. Another couple of enhancements to look at is the scale modes. Beforehand, you could go to Shift and Note mode, and you can see there's a note configuration, which is before on the first editions of the product, but now there's a little box here which says MIDI input. This essentially means if I connect up a MIDI controller via USB or via external MIDI, I can control the incoming MIDI and scale it. So I can choose to have it as snap to scale, which will snap to the nearest correct note, or filter to scale, which will stop you playing the incorrect note, meaning that you can turn any controller you have into a scaled MIDI device. The next thing to look at is the ability to switch between note modes much quicker. Beforehand, you'd go into the note mode and choose your type, so scale, progressions, or whatever. If you hold down note, you can see all of your note modes easily accessible via the screen. The last thing to look at from the workflow point of view is there's now a history window. So if I touch onto there, you can see all of my history events, which I can undo or redo directly from the screen. The last thing to look at is the ability to now use submixes. Submixes can be accessed through the mixer. Press master, you can see you've now got 8 submixes, which you can use to route effects and process channels from your project. So that was a really brief overview of the brand new features for Force on update 3.03, allowing you to take Force even further in the production and performance environments. For more information on this or any other Akai products, head over to the Gear4music website. Thanks for watching.